The silence surrounding this story is deafening, and that is precisely how the Indiana Fever planned this masterstroke. While every major sports network in the country spent 48 hours screaming about Angel Reese being exiled to Atlanta, while every podcast host debated whether the Chicago Sky had just committed a form of organizational suicide, and while every digital forum was engulfed in flames over trades and internal decay, Caitlin Clark sat in the shadows, observing until she executed a maneuver that caught everyone off guard. She simply posted about treats, specifically chocolate chip cookies at the legendary Wrigley Field. With that single act, she achieved a level of influence that no blockbuster trade or corporate press conference could ever hope to touch. She effectively claimed the throne of the Windy City without ever stepping onto a professional hardwood floor. This flips the entire narrative on its head, and I am going to break down exactly why. Greetings, world! You are locked into WNBA Pro. This is the gritty analysis that every other creator is too intimidated to touch. Let us dive in and watch the sparks fly. Listen, we need to stay glued to these updates. Every notification matters in this fast-moving and unpredictable landscape. Right now, there is heavy buzz that a talent like Aaliyah Smith is looking to wear that Indiana Fever jersey. Picture the scene. Early Monday morning, April 6, 2026, the league hiatus officially ends and a massive bombshell detonates. Chicago ships Angel Reese to the Atlanta Dream, the face of the team and the most debated athlete in the sport, gone in an instant. They dumped her for a pair of opening round picks that will likely fall somewhere in the middle of the pack. Analysts handed the Sky a failing grade, a literal F. The fan base is reeling, and legends of the game are simply stunned. The entire basketball community is united in one thought. What on earth is the Chicago front office thinking? And in the heart of that absolute storm, just as Chicago hit rock bottom and fans were grieving the loss of their icon, Caitlin Clark effortlessly tossed out a digital spark. The Cubs had just announced a contest for their 150th anniversary, searching for the perfect cookie recipe for their stands. Clark, a die-hard Cubs enthusiast, shared it with 5 words that set the servers on fire. I would love to test those. Pay close attention, because the true significance of this moment is being ignored by the masses. On the exact day Chicago lost their queen, the biggest name in the league walked into their living rooms via social media and gave the city a reason to smile. The response from the Cubs was instant. The fans, meanwhile, absolutely lost their minds with excitement. One user joked that the Sky just cleared a roster spot for her, while another suggested she start pitching for the Cubs. Clark was the top trend in the city. Not the trade, not the Sky, and not Reese. It was Caitlin Clark dominating the conversation in the very city that just lost its hero. Let that sink in for a moment, because this was not actually about baked goods. You just witnessed the most profound display of cultural leverage in the history of the women's game. No recruitment was necessary. No contracts were signed. She did not even have to pick up a phone. 5 words on a screen allowed her to hijack a city that is not even her home. That transcends simple fame. That is not just being popular. That is pure gravitational pull. She pulls the entire sports world into her orbit without lifting a finger. And the timing? That was no fluke. Do not let anyone convince you this was random. Caitlin Clark is the most tactically brilliant athlete alive. She was fully aware of her moves. She knew the Reese saga was eating up the news cycle. Sensing Chicago's pain, she stepped in with a charming, lighthearted moment that reminded everyone who the true centerpiece of the sport is. She did not use insults or petty drama. She used cookies. That is a psychological masterclass that would make ancient generals envious. While everyone else fixates on the trade, they are missing the connection between Clark's social conquest and the Fever's roadmap to a championship. No one is seeing the big picture except us here at WNBA Pro. Let me map it out for you. Looking ahead, your track record suggests every organization will be desperate to have you on their roster. So, mirroring your college days, are you the one calling the shots on your destination right now? Honestly, I feel incredibly fortunate to be at this stage of my professional journey, and here is what the mainstream media is overlooking. The sheer power of the Clark brand is not some separate entity, it is the engine driving the Fever's roster construction. It is the whole game plan. Every acquisition Indiana makes is fueled by the irresistible force Clark generates. Consider this. Why did Kelsey Mitchell choose to stay in Indy on a qualifying deal rather than exploring her options? It is simple. She wants to be part of the Caitlin Clark era. She has been vocal about it. Clark even declared it to the world. Bringing Kelsey Mitchell back was their top mission because she is the perfect partner on the court. If a phenom like Clark publicly recruits you on national television, you don't stall. You sprint toward that destiny. Mitchell secured $1.4 million on a Supermax deal. Witness the Clark gravity. Why would Lexi Hall stay as a restricted agent with other options? She witnessed this squad's massive ceiling with Clark healthy. Hull competed in every single matchup during the previous calendar year. Observing Clark for 13 games revealed the Fever's true power with their cornerstone present. 16.5 points and 8.8 assists. Pure magic. Hull isn't walking away from that heat. Not a chance. That restricted offer was signed in her heart before the ink dried. That is the Clark magnetism. Why is an unrestricted Sophie Cunningham returning? Because her bond with Clark transcends the hardwood and the game. Cunningham morphed into Clark's personal protector, her enforcer, her ultimate ride or die. She literally sacrificed a tooth shielding Clark from J.C. Sheldon. It went viral, launching her past 1 million followers. Her fame skyrocketed specifically due to that Clark alliance. You really think she ditched that spotlight, abandoning this for some nameless franchise where she's just another face? No, Cunningham is back because of Clark. That is the Clark phenomenon. Now, let's discuss the hidden factor everyone is currently missing. This secret weapon flips the entire off-season script. Elite free agents are tracking Clark's off-court empire. They see the packed houses, the massive merch sales, and the digital dominance. A simple cookie tweet generates more buzz than a multiplayer blockbuster trade. Every pro thinks, I need that spotlight. When Elena Smith mentions best fit, what's the real meaning? It signifies winning titles, scaling a personal brand, and performing for an obsessed fan base. Indiana satisfies every single one of those requirements. When Azora Stevens praises Indy on social media and teases Fever fans, it isn't about the local climate. She understands that aligning with Caitlin Clark puts you on a global stage. That's the Clark gravitational pull, Indiana's ultimate asset. Others offer cash, the Fever offer legacy. I'm seeking the perfect fit, and honestly, I truly adored Minnesota. But rosters are shifting drastically across the league this season. I'd fail myself by not weighing every path. I love the Gophers, but I must look elsewhere. Listen closely. Now, let's dissect the Fever's master strategy. What Amber Cox and the brass are orchestrating isn't luck, it's calculated. A cold, methodical, and ruthless dismantling of every other team's championship aspirations. It started way before the market opened. Phase 1. Lock the core. Mitchell's Supermax is signed. Hull is tendered. Cunningham is imminent. Clark, Boston, and Timpson are already locked in. Within 48 hours, the Fever secured 6 pillars for their championship blueprint. No other organization pivoted that quickly or with that much tactical precision. While rivals were still arguing over rosters, Indiana had already poured the concrete. Phase 2. Hunt specific specialists. The Fever don't require another superstar. With 3 stars already, they need the perfect pieces to bridge the gaps. A defensive force who drains threes like Alana Smith, the top defender who averaged 1.9 blocks and 40% from deep, or a versatile wing providing bench scoring and floor spacing. Think Azora Stevens, Kennedy Burke, or a reserve guard to relieve Clark. They have choices. The Fever have their targets and the capital to land them. Phase 3. Draft cheap, elite talent. Holding the number 10 pick means a low-cost contributor ready for immediate impact. In a $7 million cap world, a productive rookie on a minimum deal is priceless. For Indiana, the draft isn't some secondary thought. It's the cornerstone of their financial stability. Phase 4. Let the Clark effect finish them. When free agents weigh their futures, they'll compare rosters, coaches, cities, and growth. And once the dust settles, Indiana will be the obvious choice every single time. Indiana possesses the league's most lethal backcourt in Clark and Mitchell, plus an all-star post in Boston and Hull's elite lockdown perimeter defensive skills on the wing. No other WNBA organization commands a following this incredibly loyal. Their culture is the league's finest, forged through more turbulence than any other roster has endured in recent memory. And they have a $78 million practice facility on the way that will be the largest in the WNBA. Which other franchise can offer all of that? Nobody recognizes how complete this master plan is. Everyone is just obsessing over isolated moves like Mitchell's newest contract. When you analyze the entire chessboard instead of individual pieces, you realize that Indiana is playing 5 moves ahead of everyone else in the league right now. They aren't simply following market trends. They are redefining the market, with the massive brand power of Clark serving as the primary engine. Whenever a whistle blows, Alana Smith will be the one to handle it. She hits triples and plays lockdown defense. She is clearly a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Seriously, the Indiana front office faces massive decisions regarding how they move forward with both of these specific roster pieces. Let me tackle something that makes people sweat because we need to address the financial elephant in the room. By 2026, the cap hits $7 million with $3.4 million already committed to their big three. That leaves roughly $3.6 million for 9 more roster spots. Subtracting Hull and Cunningham's significant raises leaves about $2.5 million to pay for 7 more players. It is incredibly tight, and skeptics are already salivating, claiming they can no longer afford any quality talent. The cap will destroy them. They expect a top-heavy squad without depth, but stop the cap won't kill Indiana. It will prove their front office brilliance. Winning titles under a hard cap isn't about total spending. It is about surgical precision with every single dollar. The Fever have identified the exact pressure points where they need to invest their available cash. You max out Clark, Mitchell, and Boston. They consume half the budget and are worth every single penny spent. You pay core role players like Hull and Cunningham fair value for their efforts without bankrupting the entire team. You sign one impact free agent like Smith or Stevens at $400,000 to $600,000. Then you complete the roster using league minimum veterans, along with your latest incoming talent from the draft. That provides 12 players, 3 stars, 2 specialists, 1 major addition, and 6 veteran contributors on cheap deals. This is exactly how legendary dynasties are constructed. The Warriors didn't win 4 rings with 12 max players. They had a core 3 and surrounded them with smart, affordable role players. Indiana is using that same winning playbook, but there is one massive factor that nobody is discussing yet. The Fever have a recruiting advantage that no other squad possesses. They are the top spot for ring chasers. Every sport has stars willing to take less money just to join a true contender. These are players tired of losing, who want a championship ring before they eventually walk away. Those veterans will look at Indiana and see a team that was minutes from the finals without their best player. They see Clark returning at full strength in a front office that truly understands the long game. They will call Amber Cox and offer to join for whatever the league minimum is, just to win. That is the Clark effect on roster building, and it's why financial limits won't stop this team from capturing the crown. Smith will integrate into the rotation perfectly, providing height and securing the interior with her elite rim protection. Finally, they have secured the ideal athletic profile they've desperately needed at the 4 spot. Natasha Howard simply didn't fit the system, y'all. I am sorry, but it was just the truth. Smith recorded 1.9 blocks per game last season while shooting 33% on 4.3 attempts nightly. Pairing her with Aaliyah Boston creates a front-court pair that is a defensive nightmare and offensively versatile. I am going to make a statement right now that I want every single viewer of this video to remember. Screenshot this or write it on your mirror. Do whatever you must to keep this receipt. When Indiana hoists that championship trophy in 6 months, remember WNBA Pro told you first, the Fever aren't just building a contender. They aren't building a contender. They are constructing a dynasty, and this foundation goes much deeper than any single trade or signing. A single post regarding dessert exposed the entire blueprint, revealing the absolute essence of what Caitlin Clark and the Fever represent today. This proved that Clark exists in a stratosphere where no other basketball player could ever dream of climbing. Imagine commanding every headline on the planet despite never actually stepping onto the hardwood for one solitary second. She conquers the heart of the Midwest via 5 simple taps on a screen, compelling every single elite free agent to beg for a spot on her roster just by breathing. News of the Reese swap will wither. While the sky plummet toward total obscurity, the messy chaos of off-season signings will finally find some clarity. Yet, the enduring legacy of this summer, the true shift in women's basketball, stems from a lone superstar shattering the traditional playbook for crafting a title contender. Forget checks or trades, she dictates the game through sheer, unadulterated cosmic force. The entire universe revolves around Caitlin Clark. Athletes, spectators, journalists, and massive capital all circle her. Soon enough, those golden trophies will inevitably follow the exact same path. Inevitability reigns. With Clark, Mitchell, Cunningham, Boston, and Hull leading, the Wise are scrambling to board this locomotive before it screams out of the depot. We aren't witnessing a mere lineup. This is an unstoppable crusade that refuses to decelerate or yield. Asking for consent isn't their style. They simply crush all obstacles. May 9th, Dallas Wings, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. On that date, the whole league discovers the truth that Indiana and WNBA Pro have understood from the jump. It confirms the reality. Clark recognized the moment she arrived. The crown is hers. This domain belongs to her. Everyone else is merely a guest in her house. This leader doesn't require sports jargon to emphasize exactly who is pulling the strings. Mere mentions of baked snacks suffice. That terrifying level of influence concludes our session today here on WNBA Pro. Should this insight blow your mind, go ahead and absolutely demolish that like icon. Deposit your wildest, most chaotic opinions down below immediately. Does Clark stand as the most influential figure in modern athletics? Will Indiana's grand design succeed? Is there any force capable of halting this juggernaut? Turn that comment area into a battlefield. Join the WNBA Pro community now. Activate those notifications. You understand how this works. I will see you guys very soon.